Hello, so it's 9 o'clock at night and I have just spent an hour and a half with my daughter who is cutting 3 teeth at once. And I had planned to get a pile of work done tonight. You know what it's like all day, you hold off until the evening and you want to get your stuff done. And instead our kids have other ideas. And in between holding space for her and really trying to stay focused and listening, I couldn't help but have my mind wander, towards all the stuff I should be doing. And it got me thinking about this concept of who we are as mothers and what our identity looks like on this path, and the clash that we often find ourselves at when we think about the service that we give our kids and then the service that we want to also give ourselves, and how to balance that. Because the thing when we become mothers is can be such an earth-shattering thing, because we're so used to doing things our way and so used to having time, on our terms, and that's not how it goes when we've got little people to look after. And the way that our identity works, our identity is built around who we are and what we value most. And when we bring kids into the world, that it can be so cataclysmic, that shift, that idea of being a woman out in the world doing her thing and getting to do it whatever she wants on her own time, versus then going into the demanding needs of a baby or a toddler and being on their schedule. And I wondered how much this resonates with other mothers in our tribe who are finding themselves on that track of, how do I get me back? How do I get my time back? And it's funny because as much as I certainly find myself kind of railing against sometimes the demandingness of it, I also think about this idea that, motherhood is not the place that I've lost myself. It's ultimately the place that I've found myself. But to find yourself on this path often means you have to lose yourself. You lose yourself to all that you thought you were in order to find who you really are. And kind of reminds me of those words from Rumi, who said that you have to break your heart enough times in order for it to really open. And that's what this path does, and I kind of love it as much as it grates your soul sometimes, right? And as Sylvie was finally descending into sleep, it was because I realised that I had found even the wisdom in being in that moment with her, being in that space with her, and really being able to be present with her in her, physical pain, knowing that there was some kind of reason why I was also in it with her, to understand what she was going through, and therefore the mirror to my stuff. So I wanted to kind of hash out that idea of identity, and also the reason why we can find it so difficult to be pulled into the places that we're pulled into in motherhood. And often it's because it's a shattering of identity, it's a shattering of self, it's a who am I now kind of question that we're constantly faced with. Who are my children calling me to be, and how are my values shifting and changing all the time, and often the judgments that we have on ourselves based on that, on the life we're living and who we're serving, also really forms that identity and often shatters it. In our Learning to Loving program, we talk about this concept of the identity. Your identity is wrapped up in your highest values. So your highest values being what you do in life, what you see as most important, and that looks different for everybody, and it looks different on the mothering journey. When your first baby comes along and you are all consumed by that, and you're not working and you're simply giving everything to that first baby, you identify principally as a mother. When your kids get a bit older and you're faced with going back to work, or you're faced with perhaps expanding your knowledge in a different area, or maybe you're pulled into a health challenge or wanting to go into education, self-education more, then that can become your identity, and there's an enormous amount of guilt and often resistance that we can sit with around that shift in identity, and that letting go of who we thought we were, or how we thought we would be for our children, in order to sit more comfortably in the version of ourselves that feels most congruent at this time in our life. And we can so often resist the the desire to go to those places because we feel stuck. We feel like, no, I should be here, or no, I should do that. But it's so interesting to investigate where those shoulds are coming from, where those belief systems are coming from, to start to peel back those layers and find out, well, is this my voice, or is this my mother's voice? Is this what I really think, or is this what I think I should think? Because the thing is, our kids are pushing that button for us so much. They're trying to push us to get authentic, to get congruent, because they see it all. Like, they see everything, and they know where we need to go on some level, and they're trying to help us get there in the best way that they know how, which is often pushing every button we've got. But I love to look for the gifts in that. You know, even tonight with the tears and the resistance to going to bed because she was in pain. You know, really sitting with, you know, getting comfortable in that space with her. You know, what are the benefits to me right now of really being called into this with her? You know, what are the benefits to me right now of feeling like I'm having a hard time caring deeply for her right now because I've got my stuff going on? You know, why am I facing this? Why am I having to get okay with feeling like this? What's it trying to teach me? Because it's calling us into finding that inner wisdom, which is there for the taking when we start to ask those right questions. So yeah, for those other mothers who are doing the baby waking thing, try to look for the wisdom in it, because it can be brutal, but it can also be gold when we can find it. And you know, I'm right there with you. We've got teeth coming through, we've got a cold. So yeah, I'm up 3 to 4 times a night right now. So, and I know there's heaps of other mums in that position too. So got your back. But maybe think of how that obstacle of that night waking, or how that obstacle of that challenge with your child is somehow on the way to your greatest learning, or your greatest growth, or your level of connection that you're seeking with your kids and your family. So that's all.